If everyone could, good evening. If everyone could please quiet down so I can be heard.
I'm gonna raise my hand like a teacher.
Everyone
Quiet down.
Everyone quiet down. Thank you. I appreciate it. My name is...
That's the sheriff.
We can get another chair.
All right, my name is Alice Howard. I'm chairman of County Council. I'd like to welcome you to the Sheriff's Building tonight. We have several council members here tonight. I'll start at this end. York Glover, Tom Reitz, David Bartholomew, myself, and Vice Chairman Tabernack. Public notice of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Information Act. And this meeting will end at 6 o'clock. It is a question and answer format, and Sheriff Tanner is in charge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alice. How are y'all? Everyone got a little bit of room. I know we got some people out here in the back. Daniel Gorley, my general counsel here at the Sheriff's Office. I move around. I don't stay put. If this microphone working, can y'all hear me? Yes. You can? Yes. It's the first time we've used it. So, hey, Lindsay, I'm glad to hear that it's actually working. I know that y'all have some questions, and hopefully we have some answers. But I won't know what those answers are. Okay? So we're going to do things a little bit differently. One, when that clock is straight up and down, we got to leave because I got deputies coming in here at 6:15 to get ready for a shift brief. Because this is their room. This is our training room, and this is the deputies' room. So they come in together, and they have a shift brief and go over the things they need to talk about before they go out on the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, and I'm going to let you ask the questions. Now, if you're going to make a statement, then let me know you're making a statement. That way I won't keep that in my memory banks as a question. So, but be kind to everyone else, because if you consume the time, we got 1 hour. If you consume the time with a statement and not a question, then not everyone's going to get their opportunity, okay? So be respectful. Look, it's not about me, it's about you. So be respectful for each other's time. And I'm sure that we'll have counsel that may have a question or two as well. And we'll allow them to ask those questions as well. I appreciate y'all being here. York Glover called me 2 weeks ago, York. And this was based on a county council meeting that was had out at St. Helena. And they were concerned about the questions they got at the council meeting. And York asked me, he said, would you be willing to do, a meeting such as this to try to, answer whatever question? I said, absolutely, not a problem. And this is a good place to do it. Now, Tabernack, she went a little bit further. And so when we agreed to this, and she set up a meeting on
22nd, 5:30.
at the Bluff. The southern side was feeling a little left out. So she wanted to make sure she covered those angles. All right, so I'm going to make this easy. Hey, Gerald. I'm going to make this easy. Who's got a question? Now, remember, you're going to ask all your questions before I give you an answer to anything. This is different than what you've ever gone through, okay? No. I'm going to make sure that you actually have a question, because the information I have for you, unfortunately, is limited.
Could you give us
So,
the information first, Sheriff?
but then you won't have any questions. Okay, I can do that. I can make that very easy. How many of you know anything about the 287G program? So, all right, well, go ahead. You go ahead and ask your question.
No, why don't you explain what you need to talk about first, so that then we can question that.
Okay, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take charge of this meeting. I'm gonna give you all some information, and if any of you have a question, I'll let you answer. And we'll be respectful for everybody's time. Have anyone in here, as a part of my giving information, I'm gonna ask a few questions too. Has anyone in here Googled 287G program? Yes. Okay, so you do have some fundamental knowledge. Yes. Has anyone in here watched any national media about the 287G program? Yes. And based on all of the knowledge that you have gathered and had the opportunity to gather, hopefully you formulated a question that actually pertains to Beaufort County, South Carolina. If you've got questions about what they're doing in New York or LA or Wisconsin or New Jersey or Connecticut or North Carolina or Savannah, Georgia, I don't have information for you on that because I have nothing to do with those states or those counties, those areas, okay? So the 287G program, just to take you back in time, 2008, George Bush Jr. was the President of the United States. And he created, along with Congress, created a program called 287G. And as a part of that, he offered that agencies in South Carolina and all other states, sheriff's offices and police departments and state agencies could become partners and create a partnership with immigration enforcement, what is called as ICE. So our agency, my agency here, because I was a sheriff in 2008, and I said, you know what, this is a great opportunity for us to create a partnership, because you need to know how many partnerships I have. It will astonish you to know the number of partnerships I have with the federal government, with state government, and with municipalities and counties. Just to let you know, I have partnerships. I have a deputy sheriff who's also an FBI agent. I have a deputy sheriff that's also a DEA agent. I had deputy sheriffs that were U.S. Marshals. And we have MOUs and contracts galore, okay? So we know what those things are. In 2008, there were 18 task force that were allowed in the United States. And we were one of those task force. We were a task force operator from 2008 till 2012. I had 5 deputy sheriffs that were trained as immigration agents. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So doing and having knowledge about what we did from 2008 to 2012, knowing the benefits that it has for Beaufort County, South Carolina, we applied 4 months ago. We applied to be a part of the 287G program again.
Why?
So, in applying for that program, I go back and I look and to see what between 2008 and 2012. And the policing strategies of this organization is unlike it was prior to me taking office. It's changed a little bit since 2008 and 2012. The strategy that we have at the Sheriff's Office today is science and technology. Okay? We have deputy sheriffs we have over 300 employees here at the Sheriff's Office. And we have disciplines throughout the Sheriff's Office that cover every gamut of law enforcement. We have our own forensics lab, y'all aware of that, where they do DNA testing, they do chemistry testing. We have forensic testing. We have arson lab that we do testing on that. We have an intel section that does nothing but gather intelligence for us every day and multiple hours during the day. So we know that with technology advancing as fast as it has over the years, and the benefits to technology, we know the benefits to science. Why is science and technology important? I'm making my comments first, okay? Why is it important? Because it allows law enforcement to do their job investigating crime. Now, I ask this question a lot. How much crime do you want in your community? Okay. Having heard that, it's our job to make sure that when we get a call, a 911 call, or we get a request from a citizen to investigate a crime that's been committed either against them or a family member or in their community, our job is to go out and identify who those people are that are responsible for committing that crime. Doesn't matter who it is, but it's our job to make that identification and find out everything about them. If we do that and we do it the right way and we do it properly, then when that case is made and we make an arrest and we charge someone and hold them accountable for committing that crime, all of that moves then to the solicitor's office. And the solicitor's office takes that case, and when they get it, their sole job is to prosecute that offender and protect that victim of that crime. The benefits of 287G in 2008 to 2012 are actually better today than they were. Why? It's because of the intel section that we would have access to. You cannot have access to their intelligence unless you're a part of the program. If you're a part of the program, then you get, not only do we get the intel from the FBI, called NCIC, but we also get the intel from the IDENT system, which is a part of Homeland Security. If we get information and intelligence from the IDENT system, it also is in getting intelligence from what they call the EAGLE system. The EAGLE system for us, if we're investigating a crime, and we don't care who, when I say that, we don't know who the offender is. We don't know anything about the offender, but once we start identifying who that offender is, it's our job to find out everything about them, regardless of who they are. So having the ability to have that computer system in our office to query information about those that we suspect are a person of interest in committing a crime gives us the opportunity to make an arrest based on knowledge, based on fact, based on probable cause. And then we turn around and give that to the solicitor's office, and they have the ability to prosecute it. The 287G program is not designed to make all of my deputy sheriffs immigration agents. I would never join a program where I could commit. I told you earlier, I got one that's an FBI agent, one that's a DEA agent. That's involved in the process. That gives us that leg up. It gives us that tool in the toolbox. The 287G program, the task force model that I have an interest in, gives us that tool in the toolbox for us to make Beaufort County a safer place. Does it mean we're going to go out here? Look, let me tell you something, folks. I've got several openings. My job is to get patrol officers on the road. I want them on the street. I want them in your neighborhoods. We don't have a contract with 287G. I made a request, but there's been no further movement on it. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen. But when it does happen, we'll take advantage of it, and the advantage that we're going to take is to get our foot in the door with a contract with Homeland Security that gives us the ability to research and do all the research we need to do on those that are potentially involved in criminal activity in Beaufort County. That is imperative in order for us to keep our community safe. You know how many deputies that requires? 1. I had 5 in 2000. Esteban, how you doing? You know this quite well. I had 5 between 2008 and 2000. I don't need but 1. And all the training associated with having that deputy, just like I have with the FBI and the DEA, having that one deputy that's fully trained, that has access to the technology that they have that's beneficial to what we do in public safety is imperative that we have in Beaufort County. Now, you can talk about stuff that you've seen on the national media. You can talk about ICE agents running around in unmarked cars, wearing masks with no name tags. You can talk about all of that, but let me tell you something, folks. I told you when we started. If it's not happening in Beaufort County, it's not. It is not happening here, okay? It is not. Look, one of the things that I'm very proud of in my 44 years in this job and 26 and a half years as the sheriff in Beaufort County is that when I took my oath of office, my oath says that I will protect and defend the Constitution of South Carolina and the United States. Plain and simple, bottom line. The fact is the fact. This office is as transparent, if not more transparent, than any law enforcement agent you'll ever see. We do things by the book. We follow the rules. I have a general counsel. Matter of fact, I have 3 lawyers that work at the sheriff's office to make sure that everything we do is by the book and we're following the law. You come in here and think for a moment that we in some way, shape or form has any interest of any kind in doing things like other people do it or other states do it or other counties do it. I'm sorry, that's just not what happens here. That doesn't happen here, and it's not going to happen here. No one runs my office but me. County council doesn't run my office. The state of South Carolina doesn't run my office. The federal government doesn't run my office. I'm the elected sheriff in Beaufort County. I make the decision, and the buck stops right here with me. And if you want to change any of that, just like if you want to change immigration laws, your battle is not with me because I didn't make the law to begin with. If you want to change things, you need to go to the polls. When it's time to vote, vote, and that's where you make your change. But
Let half the county vote.
I beg your pardon?
You only let half the county vote. Only Republicans get to vote for sheriff.
What? Where in the world did that come from? Okay, well that is nowhere near. That's nowhere near reality. What you got?
Okay, so back in 2008, 2012,
Oh, is this mic working? Come on up here.
you don't need introductions, right? Just straight to the question so we can save time. What, if anything, did you learn from the last time you implemented this, which I'm thinking is 2008, 2012,
No, it was
you said?
2008 through 2012.
Okay, is there anything that you can tell us that you learned from that? There was a lot of family separation, maybe unintentional, maybe intentional, where it was said you were going towards or trying to find criminals or someone who had committed a crime, but a lot of people were affected that had not committed a crime. Are you aware of that? And again, what,
That
if
people
anything,
were-
did
that
you
people
learn
were
from that?
affected by-
Yes, family separations.
By the sheriff's office?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. By Beaufort County Sheriff's Office?
That is correct.
Okay.
So, again,
I'm not aware of that. I know that we gave a lot of U visas that help families. You know what a U visa is?
I do.
Okay, well, we issued, probably spent most of our time working with victims of crime and issuing U visas, which is protecting the immigrant, not only as a victim, but also as a witness. I mean, do you remember that?
I
Those
do.
things?
I was not here at during that year, but
So
I do remember.
You didn't experience anything personally. Everything that you've got for me today is hearsay.
My community is personal.
All right. Hey, good enough.
And my family
Okay.
lives here. And again, more than anything, my community is personal. And that's why I'm here today.
Okay.
And
Well, and thanks for coming.
no, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Can I, one more? Because I don't know that I'll be able to, get up here again.
These people right here are gonna let you do it.
Okay. Is there any plan, because you say nothing has been approved, but chances are we're going to get there. And I'm pretty sure that you're looking forward to that. There will be many, many young people who will be affected if their parents get deported. Again, I am not talking about someone who has committed a crime.
All right, let me stop you from that. 'Cause I want y'all to know something.
If they're not legal here.
My limited jurisdiction, and if you read the documents, it says that limited jurisdiction does not give me or the sheriff's office the jurisdiction or the authority to deport anyone. We do not have deportation ability.
I know, but it's going to happen. So here's where I want to get to. a lot of those kids are going to have to drop out of school to be able to take care of their siblings. So their curriculum is going to be taking care of their siblings because of collateral damage. Are you or the town considering having or establishing some sort of fund, help, to help those kids who are going to have to deal with those struggles? Any mental health assistance, because they're going to be traumatized by what is coming. Because you say, it hasn't happened here, and I respect that, and I recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's coming. So I don't want to be there and then react. I would love if you can please be proactive and consider that if you hadn't, and do something about it. And I'm here. My name is Veronica Navarro, and in any way that I can help, I will be here to serve.
All right.
Okay? Thank you.
My name is Anna Ramirez. We've met. My question to you is, you're voluntarily entering into that program, which brings down public trust. So the Cato Institute, which is very right-leaning, just in case anyone needed something right-leaning, has based evidence that other communities that have entered into this program diminish the reporting of crimes, and people are less likely to serve as witnesses in criminal investigations. So why are you pursuing a policy that has been shown to erode public trust everywhere it has ever been tried, including Beaufort County, because it did happen? And if you need an example, in the time that you first deployed this program, your office took a family member of mine who had no reason to be taken. So you already have the jail model. You already have ICE.
And y'all need to understand something. I do not run the Beaufort County Jail.
But it
I got
exists.
nothing to do with the jail.
It exists, and you have the ability, like you've said, you have one of the most innovative, progressive departments in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to protect and serve all, and right now, you are not protecting my community.
Yeah, we are.
You're not. You're endangering. You're causing my community members to go into hiding.
No, I understand what you're saying, but listen to me again, too, and let me make this point clear. If there was a criminal alien immigrant in your community creating crimes in your community, you just leave the fact that you're here illegally, just leave that over here on the shelf, okay? But he's involved in other criminal activities. And he's got a criminal record from another country, whatever country it may be. I'm not picking on any country. I'm just saying if another country. Wouldn't it benefit us to be able to know everything we need to know about the person that's committing crime in your community before we can appropriately deal with that person, either through the federal system or the state system?
Isn't that contradictory to you?
Is that important?
That's contradictory to you stating that you can effectively currently do your job. So are you saying you're not able to do your job?
I'm just asking, is that important that we move that?
You already do that, though. You apprehend people when they commit crimes, and then at the jail, you put the ICE detainer.
It also gives us the ability to do a better job in vetting and knowing who we're dealing with. You can
Sheriff
go
Tanner,
to a community,
you already
and
can do that.
once you identify, a person of interest or a suspect, focus in on who that person is. Make sure that U visas are given to the victims. Make
happens
sure
without
that U visa is
287G.
given to witnesses in that case.
That happens
And let's
without
deal with that
287G.
You said you were
So,
gonna let people ask questions.
it's a good program for what it's intended for me. Okay?
So then is your intention to cause community mistrust and to isolate my community
you're
and make
doing
them
that.
feel targeted?
You're doing that.
How am I doing that? I don't have control
Because-
over 287G, sir. And for you to stand
but-
here and speak to me in that manner,
No,
as
I
my
understand-
sheriff, is incredibly
Understand what I'm
dismissive,
saying.
unacceptable.
If the community
And I
is-
hope that everyone here is notating this for when his term is up in 2026. We need to do something. We need to find a candidate that isn't going to continue to railroad communities on his convenience.
Next question. Thank you.
You said you were gonna let people then you would answer later.
You know what? I make a command decision. Y'all go ahead and ask your questions, because I'm going to tell you what I told you in the beginning all over again. But hopefully I can give you some more information. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Sheriff Tanner. My name is Dulce Lopez. I'm here today with the ACLU of South Carolina. I'm here as a concerned citizen, and I'm here as a person who works with people in Beaufort County, victims of human trafficking and victims of crime. And my question to you is, you're considering entering this program, which is the Task Force Model Agreement, which is the most aggressive format of the 287G agreement. And it has a deeply troubling history. We can see it, and you said not to talk about other states, but I can only share about nationally. We see a pattern of racial profiling. We see a pattern of complete disregard for the Fourth Amendment. We see a pattern of violations to people and their rights. We see a pattern of people of color being identified as criminals just because they are a little darker than other people. This is Beaufort, and I will say I work here throughout the year. I come to Beaufort, and I work with farm workers. I work with rural people in the community. And what is it that we're seeing? They're afraid for this agreement, the 287G agreement. So why are you opening the door to the very same abuses that we're seeing nationally? Why are you opening the door to racial profiling?
All right. Let me ask y'all something. Do y'all know what the supremacy clause is?
Yes.
You know what that means, right? I have no control over the federal government. The federal government has no control over me. Having said that in further detail, and my lawyer can explain it to you in more detail, but if the federal government comes into Beaufort County to enforce federal law, there is nothing I can do to stop them, and I will not get in their way, because they will put me in jail. The supremacy clause is very clear, but let me offer this to you. If the federal government can come to Beaufort County and enforce the law like they have done over the years, if they can do that anytime they feel like they need to, wouldn't it be better that I have some relationship with them to offer my information, my input, and give guidance on what I think is best for Beaufort County? Or do I just leave the door closed, turn a blind eye to everything, and when the federal government shows up and y'all start having issues with it, then you're going to want me to do something? There are people in this country that believe that sheriffs have the authority that when ATF was thinking about taking your guns, yet the sheriffs had the authority to stop ATF agents from coming to your house and taking your guns. That is absolutely, that's misinformation, and that kind of stuff is dangerous in the community. I would rather be a neutral person in that front. If immigration shows up, just like the FBI or anyone else, you would rather have me in a position to negotiate other than just turn the other
Will you
cheek.
be neutral?
So what else?
Sir, respectfully, you are in a position of authority, and you are the one deciding to enter this agreement. So we ask you that you put your community first, that you put your farm workers, your Hispanic community, your people of color first before you enter into this agreement. Thank you.
I want to thank the council first for calling the meeting, because there has been a complete lack of information about what's being requested and how much it's going to cost, and that we really needed that information. So thank you, all of you, for calling this very important meeting. My name is Amy Deverell. I'm an immigration lawyer, and I'm bringing my own client's question from the heart of Beaufort County.
Okay.
This is not from another county or another state.
Okay.
She sent me an email on Sunday, July 6th. It says, yesterday afternoon, we realized that someone had shot our car here at our home. It had to have happened in the middle of the night. We're pretty scared because the car is parked right next to the bedroom where my daughters sleep. We don't have problems with anyone. There were 2 bullets inside the car that didn't come out. But we are afraid to call the police because of everything that is happening with immigrants. What do you recommend that we do? Normally, that would have been an easy question for me to answer, Sheriff, and I'm embarrassed that it was not an easy question for me right now. The buck stops here. You did that. When you apply for this contract and you start talking about getting immigration involved in what you're doing, we all agree that the bad guys need to be taken care of. I'm a mom. I don't want people driving around drunk. I don't want people shooting next to where people's kids are sleeping. We want the bad guys taken care of. But what this program does is it affects the victims. Then you have victims that are scared to come forward because they don't know what's going to happen to them. We can't guarantee what's going to happen to them when 287G is involved. And when people don't report, the bad guys go free and we're all less safe. So you didn't have to apply for this, and I am begging you again, as I begged you in 2017, to please withdraw the application. We don't need it. ICE just got 350% budget increase last week. They have plenty of help. They don't need your help, respectfully, sir.
Okay.
We need your help. We need your help.
Okay.
My name is Sally Dombey, and I guess I'm just curious, does Beaufort County have a problem with illegal immigrant crime? And if so, do we have the statistics to back that up? And then, from what I've read, illegally entering this country the first time is a misdemeanor. So are we going to be prosecuting all misdemeanors with this amount of vim and vigor and, frankly, venom? Thank you.
I don't think any cases of illegal entry into the Again, I put the fact that you're here illegally on the shelf a while ago, and I told you that my interest is those that are here, if they're here illegally or not, if they're U.S. citizens or whomever they are, if they're involved in committing crimes in Beaufort County, South Carolina, I want to be able to know exactly who they are. That's what NCIC gives us. That's what the ident system. That's what the ident system will give us if we have a contract to be able to access that system. The contract gives us the access to the information. Okay? Y'all are looking at this as like we're going to have 350 deputies out there running the streets of Beaufort County picking up people from Walmart or from Publix. That's not the case at all. Okay?
Are you saying that every county in the United States that does not have this contract is having information withheld from them, that the federal government will not give them access to the criminal database they have?
No, because they can already detain at the detention center, which gives them a status, which enables them to put an ICE hold on an already arrested criminal.
I don't know anything about the detention center process.
Well, on that point, my name is Will McCorkle. And just on this point right here, this is a similar rhetoric we're seeing across counties in South Carolina. When the sheriff's office tries to bring forth these agreements, is always focusing on we're going to stop immigrant criminals. And I don't think anyone's actually against stopping someone who's committed a felony, who's dangerous. But what happens in county after county, it's like a playbook that's happening. They give this rhetoric, they say this, and then when it's actually passed, they're picking up people for not having a driver's license. And I think the point that you made is saying we don't deport people in Beaufort County. Of course, Beaufort County doesn't directly deport individuals. No one believes that. But you're putting individuals in immigration detention who are going to be treated under this administration in ways that defy basic human rights. And we're seeing innocent individuals being sent to a death camp in El Salvador. We're seeing people being sent to South Sudan.
From Beaufort County, South Carolina.
Well, it could happen, yes. If you detain someone in Beaufort County, they could be sent to the detention center. So you cannot separate what happens when you pick someone up for not having a license and where they're actually going to end up.
Are you
And so it is a
saying-
national issue. It's not.
Is everyone required to have a driver's license to drive on the highways and byways?
It doesn't mean they should be sent to El Salvador to a death camp. And you're opening that door right now by working with an administration and an ICE administration.
That's a political comment. Next question.
Yeah, well, this is a
I mean,
political issue that
really,
you're making.
You're talking about an administration that I have no control over.
Hi, my name is Seth Hirschberger. I'm here on behalf of Lutheran Services Carolinas, which is a refugee resettlement agency. We serve clients in Beaufort County. And I also want to just mention my background just real fast because it's pertinent to my question. I have a master's in economics with a concentration in refugee employment. And so we've had clients in the Low Country who have specifically called us because of these agreements, the 287G agreements, and they maybe have a police officer who's just sitting outside, outside their house, maybe clocking traffic, that they're afraid to go to work. And they don't show up to their employer because they're afraid of what's going to happen. And so my question is an economic one, is when you have people, and I can speak on this with authority because I have education in this matter, when you have people that have increased productivity, they increase income per capita, they have human capital that they bring, but aren't showing up to work, it's hurting the economy. And so I guess if I can couple this, just a couple questions. One, what is it going to cost us specifically in Beaufort County? What's it going to cost the taxpayer? And then also, how can you justify a program that's hurting the economy?
I don't know that the program, based on what I know I'm using it for.
Well, I'm saying based on what I know, though, which I'm saying based on what I know, and I have a master's in economics in refugee employment economics. I work all throughout the state. I've been here 7 years.
So was anyone here between 2008 2012?
How much will it cost?
What negativity did it have to the economy during that time?
That's not the question.
If we're going to use your question,
Why are you?
what is the information? 'Cause I don't have
I'll send you an email with the statistics.
I don't know what.
I'll send you an email with the statistics then.
All right, thank
But then, how much will it cost the taxpayer here?
you do realize we don't have a 287G program.
How much will it cost the taxpayer?
I'd love to see the information. Share it with me.
All due respect, sir, you didn't answer my question.
Share the information with me. I will. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. My email address is on the website.
Quick remark. Charleston County engaged in the 287G agreement, and Sheriff Graziano shared that it costed taxpayers $4 million. So that is what Beaufort County is encountering a year. And that's what we're going to spend in Beaufort County if Sheriff Tanner engages in 287G agreements. Taxpayer dollars that shouldn't be going to immigration enforcement should be going towards local policing and ensuring the safety of our residents here in Beaufort.
Sheriff, first thing I want to do is thank you because there are some things that you have implemented that has benefited the county. I disagree with this initiative. And the reason, one of those reasons is that I feel that it opens up the county to litigation and it puts us in a situation where we may be liable in the long run. So, my question to you is, one, what portions of the 287G are you applying for? How much?
The task force.
Okay, so the task force
It's the same one we had before.
Okay, so as I understand the task force, that means that that is the highest level, and that will also encompass the portion where you'll have an embedded or a trained officer that will be able to enter ICE database and enter people who are arrested or already arrested.
The jail does that.
The jail will do
Yes.
that. So there's
The jail already does that. The
so
jail's been doing it for years.
So they have to apply for 287G also.
No, I mean, they have that ability already. They send that information to the immigration office in Charleston. They've been doing that for years.
Okay.
So
Moving
when a
on.
person goes into the jail, they have a bond hearing, and a part of that process is immigration status, and if there's some question about it, They send a document forward to, I don't get them, I don't see them, but they send it to the immigration office in Charleston. If Charleston feels like there needs to be a detainer put on that person, Charleston Immigration Office issues the detainer.
Okay. The second part of my question is that you said that you already have several partnerships with the U.S. government. You have FBI and a DEA affiliated officers. With that being said, those officers don't have access to that database?
No, I mean, they're different databases. Look, you know, and FBI agents can enforce immigration law. Immigration agents cannot enforce bank robbery laws. I mean, ICE agents and FBI agents, DEA agents can't make a DUI arrest in South Carolina. They can't stop you for speeding. I mean, everything has its separate jurisdiction. And you know, the supremacy clause is just a part of the jurisdictional issues that we deal with. So, you know, having a contract with the FBI doesn't give me any jurisdiction over immigration enforcement. Having a contract with the FBI doesn't get me into the Ident and Eagle software system. So all of those things are independent of themselves.
Arrest someone for a crime in Beaufort County.
I didn't hear the first part.
Does it require you, if you arrest someone under your jurisdiction who has entered the country illegally, to notify ICE?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a part. Hey, look. Let me tell you something now. Either I do it on the front end when I'm investigating a crime, and we identify that this person is here illegally, or when I take them to the jail and drop them off, and they go through the booking process, the jail does it. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm using it as a tool to investigate crime. All these other systems are already in place. The 287G program for me is the intelligence opportunities that I would have. Did I tell you earlier that I'm only looking at one deputy sheriff?
Yes, you did.
That's going to be involved.
Yes.
So does that sound like that we're going to be running around the county as the national media puts out with masks on, with no marked vehicles, with no name tags? Look, my job is to make Beaufort County a safer place.
Sure.
And that's what I'm going to do.
I'm not trying to rush you, but I want to get this last question
ahead.
out.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who is responsible for kidnappings, who are responsible for racketeering, who's responsible for policing all of these major crimes in the United States, does not have access, and that our little county needs this intelligence? I don't think that the two are on the same level.
You know, when I started this job, it was a little county, but it ain't anymore.
My name's Don Lambert. I'm from Beaufort City.
Good to see you.
Regarding the intelligence that you might get from participating in this program, is this a push system or a pull system? In other words,
a what?
Push or pull intelligence. In other words, you have a crime, you have a suspect, you pull intelligence on that one specific person? Or is this a push system where ICE can push information to you? These guys are on our radar, pick them up.
No, I mean, that's the system that the Eagle system, the Ident system, is for us to use to identify a person. And here, look, folks, you need to know this too, and I don't mind telling you. Multiple countries other than the United States is in that system and is using it every day. So when that information is pushed out from another country, it gives us the opportunity to look at that information if that person is here and we are investigating that person for committing a crime. It's separate than other federal systems. But other countries are participating in it, and the information in there is reliable and it's extremely important.
Will ICE push information to you?
And whatever information we get, then of course we enter that information into the system. It's a two-way street.
So ICE will push information to you regarding people that aren't currently under investigation for a crime?
ICE puts information in the system.
Okay.
If we query it based on a contact, then the information will be in the system. But if you're suggesting that immigration office out of Charleston is going to dump and flood stuff on us about things, people we need to go look at in Beaufort County because they're here illegally, that didn't happen between 08 and 12. And it ain't gonna happen. And it ain't gonna happen now. That's
Sir,
not logical.
Sir, one comment on your ongoing assertion that it won't happen in Beaufort County. Past is prologue. Past is prologue.
Okay.
We see this happening around the country. We've seen it in the past. People have a legitimate concern that this is the camel's nose under the tent, that it will happen here, and it'll start small. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have only one question. My name is Louise Gibson.
Good to see you.
What is the Sheriff's Department going to do when ICE agents show up to arrest people wearing masks, as in the Ku Klux Klan days, in unmarked cars and armed with weapons, all without due process, a cornerstone of our democracy?
You know, it's hard for me to answer a hypothetical question. I mean, that's a hypothetical question, and I get those quite often. But
are we going to be different than the rest of the nation?
no, look, I mean, I watch the news just like you do. I mean, I see the news. I'm not blind to it or ignorant to it. But, I mean, the hypothetical question is probably the biggest thing that I would do would be to make sure that they are actually who they say they are, and checking their identification and make sure that they're immigration enforcement agents, and then make sure they're working under the color of law and they have the documents they need to do whatever their job may be. That's all I can do.
But why do you need to wear a mask in any of them?
You know, I might have to wear a mask if I'm doing that. The joke is this. That hadn't happened in Beaufort County, and I don't foresee it happening in Beaufort County. Look, and this is just what I hear. I don't know because I don't know personally. But you know the reasons why these officers, these federal agents, the federal employees, federal law enforcement agents, you know why they're wearing masks? You know why they've got their name tags removed from their uniform? No, because they're protecting their self and their family, and that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm seeing.
But I'm not going to ask any more questions, but your deputies do a good job and they don't wear masks.
They don't need to wear masks.
To protect their families?
My deputies don't need to wear a mask, and I expect.
And so nobody does.
No? Well, I mean, you might have a point there.
I think so.
And I expect the community in Beaufort County to support law enforcement. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
How you doing?
My name is Shawnee Boyd. If I understand correctly, the Sheriff's Office has applied, you have applied,
We have.
but we have not yet been accepted into the program.
Have not.
Okay, and accepting what you say about the advantages of the technical backup to this, but with a program with such far-reaching implications, which go beyond what your defense of it, if we were to survey the opinions in this room, should something so significant as this be left solely to the discretion of your office and you? Should that not be a broader public acceptance or denial of participation in the program?
Well, it is. It is.
How is it? How is it?
Well, you know, when this was reported to be a public opportunity for the public to come out here and ask me some questions, of course, when that happens and my email address is online, then I get emails. And I can tell you, I got as many emails from those that support the 287G program as those that don't support the 287G program. So to answer your question is, the public is involved. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm standing in front of you talking to you. I'm not sitting in my office answering emails. And let me tell you something, and there's just as many that support the program that don't support it. I mean, you're never going to make everybody happy. It's a 50-50 program here. So, and look, this is not on on a voting card for y'all to vote on. This didn't come up during the last election, and this is not going to be amendment on the 26th election. This is a decision that's made for public safety reasons only. This is not a political decision by me. And if anyone in here thinks that this is politics for me to make a decision to join a program like this, you're so far removed from reality it's not even funny. The reality is, I know, based on my experience, what tools this agency needs to make Beaufort County a safer place. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with those tools. If you're worried about constitutional rights, I understand what you're saying. I've been doing this for a long time. Have you ever been worried about someone's constitutional rights with me in this office? The answer is no. I police citizens every day. And these men and women that work here do an amazing job. And they will continue to do an amazing job. They respect everyone in this county. They appreciate everyone in this county. But laws have to be enforced. And the 287G program is a small entry into a door of a lot of knowledge that's important for this community to remain safe. You don't know who's living in your community, neither do I. We always want to think the best of everyone, and we should give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But there are bad actors in every community throughout not only this county, but throughout South Carolina. And if South Carolina law enforcement, which the SLED is a part of the 287G program, and I know that there are other agencies in the state are too. And guess what? Fine. You do what you got to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do in Beaufort County. And in Beaufort County, information is what I need, and information helps us make this community safe. Bottom line, that's what it's all about.
But can you
It's not about running and kicking in doors and doing all the things that you might see on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of them. If you're watching that and that's where you're getting your information, and that from Facebook and all the other social media outlets, I'm telling you right now, standing in front of you, it ain't happening in Beaufort County, and it's not going to happen in Beaufort County. I don't want to hear the not yet stuff.
Can you give us a guarantee of that?
promise that it's not going to
But
happen.
we are vetting.
All that notwithstanding,
Okay.
it still comes down to your decision, and it seems to me with our situation such as it is nationally, and the opinions nationally, that something so significant as this should be made as a public decision, as a vote decision, not as an individual discretion. Thank you very much.
Okay, you got it. Well, and maybe y'all can convince county council or the state of South Carolina to put it on the ballot. I mean, I don't know that they will, but I mean, it's something.
Before we get to the next question, we got 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
After Terry Murray, gentlemen, I think that should be it, right?
That's fine. Yeah, we got 10 minutes. We got to be out for the
Hi,
deputy.
Sheriff Town.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to believe what you're telling me. I really, really do. I want to believe that you truly and your department are here to protect, preserve, and defend the citizens of Beaufort County. I think for many of us here, the problem is we don't trust the people in our federal government. And what we see is happening around the country in various communities. So I hear you say that it won't happen here. I think many of us think, how can you ensure that? And I can see on your side of the equation, we're going into this program, will give you added tools. I think that's a great thing. I don't think there's anybody here who would argue that if we have illegal immigrants in this country who are truly committing crimes, they need to leave the country. We don't want people like that. But we don't want racial profiling. We don't want people who are illegal but are working hard, contributing to our community. We don't want them to be harassed. So my question to you is, how can you assure us, and what will you do for these people if Donald Trump gives the order to Pam Bondi, who gives the order to Henry McMaster, who gives the order to Alan Wilson, who gives the order to you?
I don't take orders from anyone.
Do we have your word on that you will
No, I mean,
defend our
that-
people?
That is the law in South Carolina. Sheriffs don't work for anyone but the citizens they serve.
So when they come in, what will you do to protect, preserve, and defend the people here? That's my question.
Again, the hypothetical side of that, if Henry McMaster is the governor in South Carolina and the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, if they're involved with any kind of enforcement at the state level, they're going to use the state law enforcement division. I mean, they don't have any control over the 287G program.
So do you just basically step aside? Is there nothing you can do to try and intervene when you think that people are being illegally rounded up?
No, I mean, there are things that I can do if I think that someone is acting not on behalf of the color of law. Absolutely, I can do those things. But I don't expect, it'd be hard for me to consider that they would do anything. Look, Henry McMaster knows the Constitution inside and out, backwards and forward, and he's been in every part of the system. And if anyone protects the U.S. Constitution and the South Carolina Constitution, it's Henry McMaster, Alan Wilson. I know that years. So I don't expect that to happen. But if that were to happen,
Right.
I will do my job and make sure that Beaufort County citizens are safe.
Thank you.
I apologize for the venom with which I spoke to you before, but not the passion.
Don't worry about that.
I won't
Look,
sleep,
I'm
I
married.
promise.
I've been talked to a lot worse.
Sexism, folks. I will not address things that have been said here before, but what I have to say is very deeply personal experience.
Okay.
And does relate to the topics very definitely. So, and I promise you there's a question at the end, and I will
All right, now
I know, I want them to talk.
Okay.
So, in 2008 to 2012, the document, the agreement that you've referred to, was directed at a very different population of individuals in this country, for one thing. Okay, so there has been a shift in that undoubtedly is impacting. I didn't live in South Carolina for all of that time, but it's definitely impacting our community in ways that perhaps 2008, 2012 didn't, even though there were people who were affected. My own relative was stopped for a traffic violation, supposedly. Gentleman in his late 50s for a paperwork error trial, traffic violation on the part of the municipality. And he was then arrested for racially profiled as being of Muslim Arabic descent. He is an Italian Sicilian, okay, and he was arrested, and it took, under this same agreement, that a municipality that is far more sophisticated and far more has access to resources than Beaufort will ever have. And it took them 48 hours to sort it out. And I have every reason and a lot of pressure and a lot of legal pressure. I have no doubt that if this happened today, in any municipality in this country, that he would be on his way to a detention center. He was denied his right to phone call. He was, I mean, everything that we're seeing played out now happened to a very dear relative of mine in that time period that you've described.
Where was that at? What state? What?
New York City.
Oh, okay. So that didn't happen here in Beaufort.
I said it happened in a municipality that would never, Beaufort could never match.
And what year was that?
It was 2009.
2009, okay.
Yeah. So, okay, so all the talk about 2008, 2012, and for what did or didn't happen or who was being profiled, you know, has a whole other history compounding it. Okay. I moved here with my family, and my son is indigenous Andean by birth. He is a full American citizen. The moment we moved here, before in 2009, we have worried about how he is perceived. Sorry to those of you who feel you have no prejudice or whatever, but he's experienced so much in his life because people automatically speak Spanish to him because they think he's of Spanish or Latino descent. Here's my question, okay? My husband, myself, thank you, and I have not slept a wink worried about, under your jurisdiction, Sheriff, him being stopped for a traffic violation and winding up in some detention center someplace. I have asked numerous people in various positions, what does he do if he's pulled over? Because it would be racially profiling. What?
It would be, wait a minute.
Well, if he hasn't committed a crime.
Oh, okay. Now,
and
I
he's
wanna make
pulled
sure we
over.
had that. Okay.
Which
so
is,
he didn't commit a crime.
He
just got
didn't.
pulled over. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Please tell me, and I'm asking you in all sincerity because this is your jurisdiction.
Does he have
What
identification?
does he do? He's an American. Sure, he's an American citizen.
He's got
He
identification.
has a driver's license. He has, but
He's not driving under suspension or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
If he violated a law like speeding or run a stop sign or a red light, he's probably going to get a traffic ticket. For whatever the offense is, he was stopped.
That I understand, but what if somebody sees him driving by, and let me tell you, this is basically what happened to my relative until they looked it up after the fact.
Okay.
What do people, this,
I'm sorry that happened to you, but
okay, I'd like an answer though, please. What is he supposed to do? Because nobody has been.
Well, it also is going to ask him for his ID and proof of insurance and registration, and he just needs to give that to the officer.
And he should show that. Is he required to show it?
If his license is good and everything is good, he'll probably get a ticket.
For what?
For whatever violation that stopped. I know he doesn't do anything wrong.
Hi, I'm well, and yourself? Good. Sheriff Tanner, and if an undocumented worker becomes a victim of fraud from builders or hotels that hire them, wage theft, or a minor nonviolent offense, how can they feel safe calling your office under this program? What protections are in place to ensure victims aren't turned over to ICE simply for asking for your protection in a county they love and provide for too?
Well, if they call us and file a report, we're going to find out who built them out of the money, and we're going to get their money.
And how can Beaufort County establish that trust with the Hispanic community or immigrant community?
We have that trust.
But where do you get that information from? Like who told you you have that trust?
Look, my 250 deputies that work on these streets every day and every night have that relationship with the community.
Right, but you are Beaufort County too, so City of Bluffton, Town of Hilton Head, City of Port Royal, City of Beaufort.
We police Hilton Head.
Right, so you, from your 250 deputies, over 50,000 people, you know.
I can't speak for the Town of Bluffton or Beaufort or Port Royal, but.
Okay. So again, my question is, how do you establish that trust with the Latino community as far as being able to report these issues with without being?
We take those reports quite often.
But seriously, like under the program of 287G, how are they protected? Like
They're not concerned about the program because I mean if they're victims of a crime, they're protected as victims of crime. You know
Okay,
that.
so their documentation under your Eagle system program will not be.
They get a U visa. And those things are issued. So I mean, look, the community, the Hispanic community. And look, we're talking about 287G. If y'all are zeroing in or completely focusing on one nationality, and you're not considering all the other issues out there that are a threat to the United States and potentially South Carolina, potentially Beaufort County because of the military bases that we have, and you're not considering all the other factors that we have never vetted as a country, who's who, why are they here, and what's their intent while being here. Folks, you've got to look at the big picture. Don't just concentrate on the Latino Hispanic community.
But it's all immigrants.
All I've heard today. But wait a minute now.
But we're mostly affected in this community.
What about the other countries that are represented?
We're talking about Beaufort
South
County.
Carolina,
Yeah, we're talking about Beaufort
that
County.
are coming here. Again, I go back to the ability to vet people. I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm only going to vet the Hispanic community or Latino community in any way. I'm going to vet everyone that is involved in criminal activity. And if they're a threat to this county, to your safety, to this state, and to these United States, then we're going to deal with them appropriately. That is the job that we do every day in Beaufort County.
But you do that already. You don't need the program for that.
Yes, I do.
For the database?
For the technology.
Okay, so you're saying, just to establish, I just want you to answer this final question and I'll leave. The scale of the program, the need of that database is more important than community trust to you.
We have community trust.
Okay, but who said that? Okay, I guess, that's
The
fine.
community.
Okay, that's fine. I wish you would listen more to the community, but it's okay.
I
Thank
listen
you.
quite a bit to them, and these deputies see them every day in every capacity, victims or suspects. Yes, ma'am.
And I do appreciate the hard work that all the deputies do. It's a dangerous job. They don't know what they're going to have when they go up to a house or a car. They have no idea, and I do appreciate it. I just wanted to state that.
Thank you.
And they're good people. The difference between now and 2008 and 2012, and I was here then, what's going on now is absolutely unprecedented. And what I'm seeing, and this is what happened in Beaufort County. This is a person that was pulled over in Beaufort County, who was then, South Carolina DL, taken to Stewart, our jurisdiction. Then illegally transferred in the middle of the night to Otero. Now he's in Otero. I had
Went where?
to Otero Detention Center in El Paso, Texas.
Wait, let's go back. He was stopped in Beaufort County?
He was stopped in Beaufort County.
By whom?
BCSO.
And
For no South Carolina
and he
DL.
ended up where?
Stewart, which is our jurisdiction. Stewart Detention Center is our jurisdiction. There was an ICE hold.
We wouldn't have taken him there.
You didn't take him. You took him to the Beaufort County Detention Center. Detention
And
Center,
the detention center notified
ICE, and he went, okay. And here's the other thing.
Okay.
Normally, before this, I could get him out in bond because it's not a felony crime, right? Get him out on bond and have him adjudicate his immigration process through UCSS and not the courts.
Right.
However, I filed the bond hearing, and 2 days later, which is also a violation of ICE regulations, he was transferred to Otero. So his bond hearing was canceled, and we had to have another bond hearing out in Otero. And I really thought that was going to go not well, and it didn't. But we had a hearing, and I won the hearing. 2% get asylum. This kid needs asylum.
Okay.
2%.
Okay.
May 27th, the judge that heard Harvard graduate granted us asylum. Cannot get that man out of Otero. They tried to drop him off in Mexico. He refused to get off the bus. I filed a stay of relief of removal. I filed things with ICE. I'm about to do a habeas. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand. You don't have any control over ICE. I totally understand that. But what's happening is these individuals who are having misdemeanor offenses, and I have another situation which I won't go into, but it also happened in Beaufort County. But the things that this starts the ball rolling, and I think that's what people are afraid of. And what I'm saying is the things I've seen going on now since January 20th are vastly different than the landscape in immigration court or how we operated as attorneys prior. And I'm just saying that I think is what, I'm not even talking about what's going on in the world, but
Thank you.
that's what,
We got-
I
we
just
got
want you to
two more
understand
people.
that
Thank
point.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. And I want to take this couple of minutes or so. Do have a question for you, but I do want to address the city, the county council.
Time.
Yes. So my name is Alex. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. I'm also a business owner, and I represent the Hispanic business community here for small businesses. We have talked about science, we talk about the data that you are able to collect, and I support your department 100%, but I do not support your decision. We haven't explored different aspects of how this is going to impact Beaufort County community.
We met on Hilton Head, what, 2 months ago?
Yes, sir, we did. So my concern is that we also talk about 2012, 2007. Right now in 2025, things are very different here in your community, okay? For the Latino community representing more than 14% here in Beaufort County is a big change from 2008, huge change. 33% of the students in Beaufort County are Latinos, and they are the ones who are going to take this to heart. Those are the ones who are going to be most affected because we're not talking about them. They are the fabric of our future community. They are going to be the labor force, the people opening businesses in the future. And the damage that we're going to cause by going into this is very, very, it's huge, right? We don't easily talk about the slavery today, right? Even though it ended 160 years. But the damage that it caused to many, many other generations in the future still exists. We feel ashamed about slavery. We don't feel proud. Sometimes we dismiss it. Yeah, my parents or my family didn't own any slaves. Well, right now we don't see any chains. We don't see any public auctions. But the same effect is going to have in the next generations of Latinos here in the Beaufort County. My question to the council is, we need to do some study. We need to think about how this is going to affect the future leaders of this place, and what can we do, right, in the sheriff department to build that trust. You say we have support from the community, you do, but you don't have a full trust within the Latino community. That's just a fact. So what can you do, knowing that the median age for whites in Beaufort County is 55, and the median age for Latinos is 25. We have a 30-year difference. That's one generation missing. Therefore, many systems, many elected leaders are missing the target. We're not concerned of what's coming. We are concerned about the present and not the future. What can you do? What can your department do to address this? What can your department do in collaboration with the county council to earn the trust of the next generation of Latinos here in Beaufort?
I mean, I'll answer that question again because, you know, let me, why I'm answering this question, and I'm gonna give you your time, okay? I'll use your time. How many of you, and we met on Hilton Head, yes, sir, and we had a conversation and whatnot. How many of you have helped someone you know that's here illegally work towards their citizenship? How many have you? Well, thank you. Thank you, and that's what we appreciate you doing. That's one of the things that we talked about in the meeting. You can't hide from the fact that you're here illegally. Just like if you were to go to another country and you do not have the appropriate paperwork, identification, and all the other stuff, they're going to vet you just like we should vet people. So your job, and I can tell you that I can't speak for the federal government, not going to try, not today, not any day, but your job, a part of your job is to encourage those that you know are here illegally to do their paperwork and get on the right track of getting this thing done. At the same time, working with law enforcement to make sure that this community, these community members are safe. Don't work against the grain, work with the grain. The benefits are far greater. Yeah, we do that. Yes, ma'am. It's all yours. You got 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Terry Murray, and I appreciate so much your being here this evening and answer our questions. I agree with almost everything and all the concerns that have been expressed here tonight. I think there was one question that I was very interested in that you didn't answer, if I understood correctly, and that was, how much is this going to cost? And we heard that there are, I thought, a pretty large expense in Charleston County, and I recognize that you're an independent elected official, but county council controls your budget. And so
No,
I would...
They approve my budget. They don't control it. There's a difference.
Perhaps you're parsing words, and perhaps I don't understand the...
Yeah, my budget's approved through a process, and then once my budget is approved, then I'm responsible for the budget.
But the approval process...
Well, let me help.
Well, no, just a moment, please. And I'm going to...
I'll tell you how much it costs.
How much does it cost?
Directly or indirectly?
Both.
Okay, directly, nothing. Indirectly, a deputy, starting salary is $60,000, a vehicle and all the issued equipment, $125,000. Directly, nothing.
Forgive me, I think this
And
answer...
that deputy has
May I continue?
multiple responsibilities.
May
other
I
than just-
continue?
Yes, ma'am. I'm giving it to you.
I will respectfully say that I think this answer, like all of your answers, have been very disingenuous, and you're talking down to us.
No, when you ask a question on how much it costs, that is absolutely the cost. ICE does not charge Beaufort County to be a part of it. We don't. They do all the training, they provide all the technology, the training, and everything that we need to be affiliated with the contract. The cost in Beaufort County is for whatever deputy is trained as an immigration agent that has a job already. This is a secondary type scenario, and it's based on the application that we're looking at when it comes to intelligence. It's not even going to call, it's not, I mean, that is the salary of a deputy with a uniform, and that's not even counting all the other things in there. So look, that's the cost. If you're coming here thinking that County Council approved $1 million for me to be a part of the program, County Council did not approve a red cent for me to be a part of this program. When I went to County Council with my budget this year, 287G, immigration enforcement, was never a part of the conversation because it's none of their business. I don't mean that in an offensive way. The reality is, this is not a costly issue for Beaufort County when it comes to what my office does in the furtherance of this job.
I don't think that's what people are worried about. I think we're...
Well, that was a question.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Because I think it's important. I think what we're worried about is that our affiliation with ICE will make us more likely a target for them to come in and do one of their whatever. And the fact that we are affiliated, I think, does make us a city. And take our...
I would think it would be the exact opposite.
And that's why we're asking you to listen to us.
I mean, I've heard all these comments about the current administration, and if there's a sheriff in South Carolina that doesn't want to participate with what he's trying to accomplish, wouldn't you think that would be the worst end of it? Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. We got to clear the room because I got deputies coming in. Thank you so much.